Hello techies. Welcome to our brand new video series focused on helping you get the most of your experiences in life. Before we start the video, let's know about Upptalk. Upptalk is a live, interactive platform for software training, furnishing robust personalities who could take on universal business platforms.
We may want to send a notification to that right. And let's say the recruiter is the one who initiated the process, and after the onboarding typically takes a long time, right? It takes to be 2 weeks to complete. So after everything completes, the recruiter might want to know whether the process completed or not. Okay, so we will send a notification when the process is complete. Okay, you see here, the recruiter is not a part of the process after onboarding, but even during the onboarding they're not part of the process. Their work is done once they are done with the background check, right? So they just want to know that, okay, they didn't go to come successfully were all the steps done and so on. So then what will happen? We might create a notification that informs the recruiter that the task is done, the business process is complete. Okay, notifications can be set up to do that, and we may put in some conditional logic for the steps. Only if a condition is met, then trigger this business process. For example, this background check only for, let's say, U.S. candidates, only for U.S. candidates. Okay, can be done, right? So there you will write a conditional logic, just like you have written for your compensation eligibility rules. Absolutely in the same manner, we are able to write conditional logic for these steps. So what will happen is if that condition is met, only then this particular step will be triggered. Otherwise it will not be triggered. We can configure the system in that particular. Okay. Now this is so. This is the place where we get a lot of control, or how we want to run the business process, because in a typical organization, a typical business process, there will be a lot of conditional logic, isn't it? If you are familiar with that, have you been part of any business process design exercise? Have you participated in that? Not in one day, but maybe in your organization. Did you design the business process and be already part of it? Any one of you? No, all right. Well, yes, somebody wants to say I might have partly done that. Yeah, tell us about your experience. Oh, it's like the so many steps that we think you know it is. It is how it has to be defined, like every small little thing needs to be mentioned in terms of business process. That's something that I learned. Yes. So you have to let's say, you have to think about different scenarios that might happen, right? And then you have to put in some logic that, okay, if this happens, then do this. Isn't that what you do today? Yes, if this situation arises, then do this. If this is great, if a different situation arises, do something else, right? So you have to design. Typically, when you design a business process, it has to have, it typically has multiple conditions based on certain outcomes. Right. Let's say you start. Let's say here the proposed compensation. Now, when the compensation partner gives the compensation assigns the compensation, what happens if the compensation assigns a competition that's outside the grid? Is it allowed? Let's say the grade is $20,000 to $50,000. Compensation partner assigns a salary of $60,000. Then what happens when it's stopped? No, it gives an alert. It gives an alert. But if the compensation partner still clicks on OK, then what happens if you proceed to the next step, isn't it? That's what happens, because it's a guideline. The compensation pay, the compensation grade is a guideline. So let's say the compensation partner has actually assigned a compensation that is outside the range. Okay, then what can we do? Then we can say that, okay, we have a catch. We have the place where we can handle the situation. We can say that, okay, you need an approval only if assigned compensation is greater than competition grade. Right? Otherwise, do not bother the manager. We do not need to get for approval every single time, but we need the approval only if the assigned competition is created there, the compensation grade, and we do something like this. Yeah, that makes the process so much more robust, isn't it? So if they think that let's say not only greater, so let's say greater than, or even less than. Isn't it maybe that? Maybe the compensation partner did a typo. Instead of 20 to 20,000, he just mentioned 2,000. Honest mistake, right? This is an honest mistake. I know some people have done this. So what happened was somebody was going to be assigned a compensation of 5 lakhs, which is 500,000. The compensation partner it happened during the recruitment process. So the offer letter, the recruiter by mistake typed 50 lakhs, an extra 0. It was for an intern position. The amount in the offer letter was set as 50 lakhs because there were no proper checks and balances in place, and the manager also did not check it because there were no alerts. There were no flags. Manager approved it. The intern got an offer letter of 50 lakh rupees. Of course he was overjoyed. He wouldn't believe his eyes. There was a huge party in his locality because he has got a huge salary, right? But then the company quickly realized the mistake, that they were some reports and audits, and then they went back to the candidate and said that of course tax nuller point, it was an incorrect offer. Here is your revised offer of 5 lakhs, right? So that these things do happen. We are all like human beings, we can make mistakes. So now just to make the system more robust. If it was the system, and if there was this particular situation or this particular condition, that you go for approval only if the assigned compensation is greater than the compensation rate or less than the compensation rate, then it goes to the manager as long as it is within the range the manager doesn't want, right? That means it must have been done after discussing with everybody, and so on. If it is outside the range, we go for an approval. So we make this as a conditional logic. Right, so you can define this conditional steps based on multiple factors. You can define it on or within the entry. You can put it as an exit condition, like how many approvals are needed. 2 approvals, 3 approvals in a computer, in an approval chain, right? So you can put it there. You can combine multiple conditions using the and or right. It can be different factors that you can combine together, and you can use it to combine number compared to numbers, dates, values, right? Any kind of rule you may want to have. You can write a conditional logic based on that. What are some of the common rules that we see? Okay. What is, let's say, management level is director or about? If the management level is director or about, do something. Okay, if the management level is manager or below, do something else. Right, you can write rules based on job profile, job families. If the job profile or if the job family is IT, then goes for second level of approval. If it is, let's say, the job family is equal to HR, it goes for 1 level of approval. Right, you can write rules based on location. If the location is in the US, we go for background check. If it is not us, not with not manager. Right. Yeah, you can do all the business, even reasons like termination time. If the termination time is retirement, then do something. If it is not retirement, if it is a normal termination, do something else. Right. If it is about the range maximum for competition, just example I give you, if the local position and amount that is assigned is more than the range is the compensation grade, then you can go for a rule like, okay, check this, it needs to happen. Approval okay. And let's say you have put in a rule about $2,000 for an expense report. Somebody is submitting an expense report more than $2,000. That's the significant amount. So it has to be reviewed. So you put in a condition like this, you put in business processes like this, we conditional logic in the business process that makes the entire system, entire process very, 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 very robust. Okay, so we have talked about a lot of theory in today's session. In tomorrow's session, we will do only practicals, where we are going to do a demonstration of all of the concepts that we learned today. We will look at the different types of tasks. We will look at conditional logic in a business process definition, right? And then we will test our business process. We will see how the flow works. Okay, we will modify our existing business process, and we will add a lot of steps, and we will see how we can make it very.
Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us at sales@upptalk.com.